Hello everyone, it's Wiki Lifts here, and today we're going to go through 5 exercises that will help you achieve your muscle up in 2026. It took me 2 years to achieve a muscle up and I've made many mistakes along the way, so I thought I would share these exercises with you as they really skyrocketed my progress into getting a muscle up. So everyone always asks, how many pull-ups should you be able to do before starting to train a muscle up? And the recommendation is about 10 to 12 pull-ups. The reason for this is that if you can do this many pull-ups, it's a good indicator that you have conditioned your joints and tendons to be strong and to be able to handle the load of muscle up training. If you can do less than that, I would highly recommend to get up to at least 10 pull-ups. And again, if you can do 10 to 12 pull-ups and you start doing muscle up training, there is a less chance of you to get injured. And the final background point is specificity. Any skill that you want to learn in calisthenics, we have to be training for it as specifically as possible. But how do we train for a muscle up specifically if we can't do a muscle up? So the logical way is to break down the muscle up into various components and train these components separately while training a progression of the muscle up as well in order to eventually achieve it. So for example, we break down the muscle up into the pulling phase, the transition phase, and the pushing phase. For the first exercise is the weighted pull-up. So in order to have explosive strength for the muscle up, you need to have a strong weighted pull-up. You need to train the weighted pull-up in the 3 to 6 rep range at about 80 to 95% of your 1 rep max. And you can use an online calculator to work out what this number is. The reason why you want to be training in this rep range for your weighted pull-ups is because this is the optimal range for building strength. Now, many people ask, how heavy does your weighted pull-up need to be in order to be able to do a muscle up? And the recommended number is about 25 to 30% of your body weight. So that means you are lifting about 30% of what your body weight is in a weighted pull-up as your top working set. So for example, I weigh 60 kg, so I'm able to lift a 20 kg weighted pull-up. That is about 30% of my body weight. Just a disclaimer that everyone is different, and just because you're able to pull 25% of your body weight does not necessarily mean that you will be able to do a muscle up. This was not the case for me. You might have to do other exercises to get your muscle up as well. The second exercise is high pull-ups. So remember how we talked about specificity training when it comes to calisthenics skills? So the high pull-up is basically the first portion of the muscle up, but without the actual getting up over the bar. So a high pull-up is basically a muscle up, but without the transition phase. So that means we want to be learning the high pull-up, trying to get our chest to the bar and pulling as strongly as possible. So it's absolutely crucial that you tense the core while performing the high pull-up. This is because it creates full body tension, which will allow you to get to the top of the bar more efficiently, and you will also be able to pull stronger. If you're not tensing your core and your body is all over the place, your pulling strength is going to be a lot more inefficient. When doing the high pull-up, you should always activate your scapula so that you're able to pull more efficiently as well. Okay, so the third exercise is the L pull-up. Now, just because you have a really strong weighted pull-up and you have really good high pull-ups does not necessarily mean that you will have good horizontal pulling strength, which you need for the muscle up. When you are pulling into a muscle up, you're basically doing an L pull-up in the middle of it, right before the transition phase. So if you can nail your L pull-up, if you can get about 5 clean reps of L pull-up, this will translate into really good strength for the muscle up. Okay, so to do the L pull-up, you want to grab the bar and go into a tuck position. Then you want to slowly extend your legs and then slowly raise them up into an L position underneath the bar. Then you want to pull really hard, going as far to your chest and then back down. If you feel like you cannot do this movement, then you can use a band to decrease the resistance, and then you'll be able to do an L pull-up. And if banded L pull-ups are still too hard, practice doing tuck pull-ups as well, until eventually you have enough strength to do either a banded or an L pull-up. Don't overlook horizontal pulling strength when it comes to the muscle up. It is a critical key component of the muscle up. Okay, so the fourth exercise, probably one of my favorite exercises for getting strength for the muscle up, it's the negative muscle up. Now, negatives have been shown to build strength and explosiveness, so do not skip negative muscle ups. I didn't do negative muscle ups for 2 years and I was not able to get the muscle up until I finally decided, you know what, I'm gonna actually do this exercise. And within a few weeks, I unlocked the muscle up. And that just makes sense because a negative muscle up is basically you training the transition phase of the muscle up. So the pulling power from the L pull-up really comes into handy when doing negative muscle ups. So for negative muscle ups, you want to make sure that you're starting from a straight bar position and then descending down as slowly and controlled as possible. Try to not let your body drift away as soon as you go underneath the bar. Try to really hold on to the bar and perform a slow and controlled negative muscle up. The fifth and final exercise is kind of a boring exercise, to be honest. It's the straight bar dip. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the least important exercise that you need to focus on, because while you do need to be able to push yourself up at the top of the muscle up, you don't actually need that much strength for it. So a general rule of thumb is to be able to do about 8 straight bar dips for 3 sets. While it's not that important, it's still a component of the muscle up, so you do want to be training it, but I would not put as much emphasis on this exercise as the other pulling exercises. So the key with the straight bar dip is the deeper that you can push yourself into the bar, the better, because essentially you are going to be pushing from this position in the actual muscle up itself. Also, make sure that your elbows are tucked in at all times. Don't let them flare out like this. Try to keep them inwards like this. So that's pretty much all the 5 exercises that we covered that you need for the muscle up. Now, keep in mind that you do need to be training some kind of muscle up progression along with these exercises, just maybe not necessarily on the same day. But as you get stronger and stronger, do implement banded muscle ups in order to get good at that, and then supplement your training with these exercises. It's also really important that you track your progress as to how many reps you're doing with these exercises so that you can progressively overload them and get stronger as time goes on. I have full faith that in 2026, if you do these exercises and you actually get strong at them, you will achieve the muscle up. Trust me, I was stuck on the muscle up and I actually only did weighted pull-ups. I didn't do any of the other exercises, maybe just straight bar dips. As soon as I started implementing high pull-ups, L pull-ups, negative muscle ups, I got my unassisted muscle up like within a few weeks. It was insane. So these really helped me and I trust that they will help you.